Sohani, Chair of Radiology. For those who we have not met, I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I was in Boston for 20 years at MGH and have a privileged position to lead UW Radiology. And I want to thank you all for being engaged with the department, being very generous with your support for Rorman Endowment. And you, as you can learn later on, the beneficiaries are our trainees and students. And this is a great legacy that we have built here. So this is also an opportunity for us to get your input. And hopefully in the future events, I would like to share some other important events within the departments, the programs we are building, and will solicit your input and ideas. So I know Tess and others in the residency committee has put together a very impressive program on who have benefited from the Rorman Endowment support, but also in general what is going on, and provide you updates on the educational front. So thank you once again for taking valuable time out of your schedule and join this lunch and learn event. Although we are not providing lunch, apologize for that.
Bill, did you want to say a few words?
Well, I think, Betty, do you have an announcement you want to make?
I'm going to defer to Dr. Rorman for our nice announcement.
Does Dr. Rorman have an announcement?
I think I do. Hello, everybody. It's so good to be with you all and see you all. This is, I think, an event that today is gaining more attention than we've had in the past. Betty can assure us that the number of people that are online is really great. I just want to take a few minutes, in addition to thanking you all for being with us, to let you know that the process that Bill and Mary Kelly started over 10 years ago has advanced to the point, with Betty's extreme help, that we have broken the $1 million level for the endowment. And that just happened just a few weeks ago. And I'm just so pleased to announce that and let everyone know that we have attained that goal. And with that, I'm going to just let the program proceed. Thank you all.
Oh, that's fantastic. Who put us over the top, Betty?
Am I allowed to say?
Sure.
I don't think it mattered. We all did.
Everybody did. Everybody contributed. I just think it's just wonderful because, the challenge was put out there. We had a really great response as a result of Dr. Rorman's retirement. I was thinking about asking him to come back and then retire again. But just this past 2 weeks, we had some great donations and they brought us over the top. So it's just awesome. And it's a collective effort. Thank you so much to everyone.
And Dr. Rorman and Mrs. Rorman you yourselves have donated so much. It's so meaningful. It's great. Thanks to everybody who's contributed.
It's a very, very good objective, and the support of our trainees is really important so they can accomplish many of the things that you have seen and will see that they have.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Chuck.
I can remember historically when we had our first meeting about the thought of a Rorman endowment, Mary Kelly very quickly became a leader. I'm sorry she's not with us today. She's busy with a cello lesson. But I had a conversation with Mary and said, what do you think, what should be the goal of the endowment? And she said, I don't know, what do you think? And I said, well, I was thinking about $100,000. But I was worried because what if we only got like $5,000? And Mary said, well, in that case, we declare victory and go home. I thought that was a great answer. But she said, no. She said, you really have to go for a very high goal here because, first of all, it's an important thing for the residency and for the program and for the mission of the department. And secondly, Chuck is a very honored, revered, loved person, and people really want to reflect that. And so she said, let's make it $1 million. and I gagged and gulped. I had a moment of sheer panic and finally agreed with her. So really, it's Mary Kelly's credit for setting a high goal, which we have been able to attain. And I congratulate and thank Mary for that. The income from the fund is roughly 5% of the value of the fund annually. And that amount gets dispersed or put into a operation budget and is available then for tapping in to benefit the residents. So far, it has been used for travel support, for training presentations at national conferences of their research, for research support costs, such as consultations by biostatisticians, for development of specific educational materials, including professional schematic renderings. I think many of you have seen the Liver Atlas. For equity, diversity, and inclusion efforts across the department, including community outreach and dealing with issues of healthcare disparities. For travel support for global health rotations, development of research materials such as phantoms, supporting trainee salaries when they are working on projects in curricular development, leadership programs, and underserved community outreach. So those are some examples of things that the income from the endowment have been spent on so far. But what we're finding is in our challenge now is that we needed to get a little more formal with the process. And so what we have done is set up a formal evaluation, education endowment evaluation committee. And this committee solicits applications. The applications now come in on a standardized one-page simple form. And the applications, did I lose people?
No, I think we're inadvertently seeing Dr. Chestnut's screen.
Oh,
all right.
okay. Yeah. But it's coming in on a simple form to the committee, and the committee evaluates applications. Oh, there's a nice rainbow trout.
I
And I'm glad to see
A
that.
couple of nice grandchildren too.
And my
They're
desktop
the
looks like
IT
yours.
people that aren't here there.
Yeah. But the other thing we've discovered is it's not enough just to have the funds, and it's not enough to have a good application process. You actually have to become known. So people have to be aware that it's there. And so advertising and marketing of the capabilities of the endowment and the funds that are available is important. So we've really have some very strong efforts now to make sure that everybody knows about the fund and knows about the potential for how the money can be applied for and used. And as you know, it's not just the Rohrman Endowment. There are multiple other endowments which support resident education, and all of them fall under the same category and through the same mechanisms, so that we use these funds together in a way that strongly supports the residents, the fellows in nuclear medicine, in radiology, and in interventional radiology across the board. And I'm pointing that out for Mike McGoodwin's benefit, because he has also created an endowment which supports the residents as well. And there are several others on top of that. So that's a very brief summary of where we are now and the mechanisms that are set up and the advertising we're doing. And with that, I'll pass it on to the next portion of the program.
Betty, maybe you would like to introduce Andy Peterson at this time.
Well, definitely. I'm more than happy to introduce Andy. And I see her, she's in the middle of my screen, so it depends on the orientation. She's our new UW Medicine advancement person who works with us directly in donor outreach and making sure that we know all of the things that we can do with the endowment and with funds to support the residency. So Andy, I would like you to just say a few words about yourself and your goals as well for our group.
Yeah, thank you, Betty. It's so great to be here. I feel like this is sort of cheating a bit, coming in, here with a win that I had nothing to do with, but I know that, I'm here to support all of you and this endowment, and I'm so excited to help get things going. So again, my name's Andy Peterson. I've worked at UW Medicine for a little over 2.5 years, and My predecessor, Gloria Chen, worked closely with a lot of you all on advancement activities. And so I'll be taking over for her, and anything that you guys need or questions that you have, feel free to get in contact with me. I think Betty, maybe we could send out my contact information afterwards. But my goals for working with the department are just to help further along the priorities that Dr. Sahani has, and meeting with various faculty members and asking for lovely donations along the way. So, any way that I can be of assistance, I'm happy to. And I look forward to meeting with a lot of you. So thanks for having me here today. And I'm so excited to celebrate with you all. So congratulations, Dr. Rorman, and all of you.
Thanks, Andy. Tess, is it back to you?
Yeah, why don't I show? I have some slides just to update all of our alumni and donors on our past year. And if you were with us for our RSNA virtual reception, you may have seen some of this content, but I thought that I would share with the group what we have been up to. And by the way, several of our residents are here with us at this Lunch and Learn, and they're happy to be here. And a few of them will share with you some details of their experiences and how they have benefited from our endowment. But I just thought that I would share with you some updates from this past year. So number one, we survived 2020, which was a very strange year for everyone, needless to say. We became very comfortable with Zoom, and Zoom is everybody's new best friend and sometimes everybody's transport into work. We all have been wearing face masks, and it took a long time for any of us to actually become familiar with some of the new faces in our department. We were physically distancing around the department and around the city, and still networking and working together despite our physical distance from one another. There were very nice opportunities, though, to work in person, even with face masks, as we became more confident in the safety of being closer together with face masks. And then, as you all know, as vaccinations became available in December and January, the better part of our department has become fully vaccinated. And so slowly some masks have been coming off, and we have been able to gather with our residents in small groups. And it's just lovely to see everyone's full faces and smiles. So things are getting better, definitely. As far as our residency, I want to make sure everybody is aware of some cool new training pathways that would not have been around perhaps when you were in residency. So we have a 16-month pathway to dual certification, and two of our residents who are on this pathway are here now, Dr. John Wu, who's a PGY5, and Dr. Seamus Moran, who's a rising PGY5 rising senior. They are involved in this training pathway, which is a really great way for residents to gain dual certification in both diagnostic radiology and nuclear medicine. And then another new training pathway we have is an early specialization in interventional radiology. So as you all know, we have now an integrated diagnostic radiology and interventional radiology residency program. It's a 5-year training program instead of the typical 4 years for diagnostic radiology. So these the residents who do an integrated program graduate with eligibility to become dual certified in both diagnostic radiology and interventional radiology. But for those diagnostic radiology residents who aren't yet sure that they're when they entered residency, if they weren't sure about DR or IR, they can do DR and then get early specialization in IR. So Aaron Abajian is our first inaugural resident who will be starting his ESIR pathway soon. And so in his PGY 5-year of residency, he's going to be very intensively training in interventional radiology. So that's exciting for us. We had a whole season of web-based interviews. So virtual interviews went well. We had a lot of change this past year in trying to figure out how to transition from in-person to virtual. And what this meant was essentially a lot of advertising up front. So our residents were instrumental in getting these really fun updates to our website to better inform medical students about the highlights of our residency program. We have this wonderful network for underrepresented residents and fellows that's called NERF. They offered several open houses that were offered by streaming, and that connected us with a lot of medical students of different areas and different backgrounds to augment our diversity. So we met a lot of great candidates there. And we were really thrilled. We did end up interviewing more candidates than usual. So we sort of changed the structure of our interview days schedule to accommodate more candidates so that we could meet more people. And ultimately, we had a really great match. We were super thrilled with the group of students that will be a future part of our team. And we'll be looking forward to another virtual season, just for safety reasons and all things considered. We anticipate doing another virtual interview season this next year. Our PGY4s and PGY5s had a whole lot of uncertainty about their ABR exam timing. They are, particularly our upcoming graduates, they had to go through so many rounds of disappointment and confusion and delay. And so the ABR had its first year of remote exams. So for the first time, candidates don't have to go to Chicago or Tucson, and the ABR really did an outstanding job enabling all of our residents to take their exams from home or from an office space. So the process involves a webcam and some software that the ABR utilized for security. And so the candidates have to do a scan of their environment first before the exam starts. And then the whole time they're taking the exam, they have a webcam watching them. So it's the security is very optimal. And that's been a change, but that's probably here to stay. So the ABR just did a fantastic job and it's benefiting everybody. We as a department got a new PACS and struggled with it. It's been a heck of an adjustment. So as everyone knows who has a new PACS, there are always a lot of road bumps, and this particular year was full of many. So that was something that we were dealing with this past year. And we also integrated a new electronic health record. We are now part of the Epic family. And so this was a big deal too. Lots of preparation, huge numbers of intense work, a huge number of people contributing to this really intense preparation, including some of our residents. So we had several resident super users, which is the name of those who had extraordinary training, and their role was to support the rest of our department, residents, fellows, faculty. And so we had several of our super users that were instrumental. Dr. Weaver is here with us today, and we're just super grateful for all of those residents who helped us through that process and continue to help us through that process. We also established last year, as you may have heard, a new diversity chief resident. So one of our current senior residents, Dr. Sagan Aklilu, is our first diversity chief resident, and she leads a group who are aimed at increasing awareness at the challenges that our underrepresented minorities experience in training. They are actively working on trying to change perceptions that the terminology of the concepts around equity, equality, different, deficient, et cetera. They are making steps to actively engage efforts to remain so that everybody is aware and actively addressing issues that our underrepresented minorities face, and then also working on efforts to retain so that our faculty, which is largely white and Asian, will someday enjoy a greater degree of diversity. So we really appreciate all the work that Sagan is doing. We also have benefited from the hard work of our social media co-chairs. Janice Yee is here with us today. Also, Dr. Shahada and Dr. Johnson have been tremendous. They've put in a ton of energy and effort into our social media accounts. They've had some fun with it and done some really creative new innovations and advertising and connection. It's had some lovely unexpected consequences, like putting us in touch with pre-med and undergraduate students, essentially pre-medicine students as well. We also have a research chief resident. John Wu is here with us today, as I mentioned before. So John has just done an exceptional job as a research chief resident. So he has coordinated a number of different faculty talks and journal discussions. Last week at the AUR, he presented to the group about how to incorporate a journal club into residency. And we're just really proud of John Wu. And then Seamus Moran will be our next research chief resident. So we look forward to Seamus being a key role in enabling our residents to participate in different research adventures and to enable the research development of all of our trainees. On the subject of research, we had our first virtual research and education day. This is a tradition that is usually held in March of each year. And last year, because of the pandemic, we just canceled the event entirely. But this year, it was held successfully on the web. It was great. The chat functions in Zoom allows for a lot of great conversation across multiple rooms. And so it's a really engaging event, and you can see from all of these faces here in the screenshot, the attendance was terrific. So we had a good time. Really impressive research is being done by our residents, and it's really fun to see them present. We have global health initiatives that were kind of put on hold. Obviously, we can't travel globally, but we do have a nice connection with the Aga Khan University. They have a residency there with about 4 residents per class. And so our residents are in touch with them electronically. And then there's a small group of faculty that are actually providing lectures to this group of residents on a monthly basis. And Dr. Hubert Vissel is coordinating that. So that's been really fun. As Dr. Schumann mentioned, we do have this new evaluation committee. So we have our advisory committee for the endowments and now a separate evaluation committee. And so this group, which is comprised of both research-oriented and clinical-oriented faculty, they review any incoming applications that we now have from residents or fellows or students to spend our endowment funds. So here's just a screenshot of a portion of this online application that Betty created for us to enable this process. And so the applications are submitted, and then we distribute it to our evaluation committee members, and we have a pair of them that scores each application. And then we decide from where the funds will be drawn. And we're looking forward to spending all of these dollars that we have from our very generous donors. Finally, I just want to wrap up by expressing our continued enormous gratitude for all of you and for Dr. Rohrman. We just adore you, Chuck, and we miss you dearly, and we're glad that you're still here and there providing some lectures, and just can't thank you enough for everything you've done. So I will wrap that up there and stop sharing. But we wanted to provide the opportunity for a few of our residents to share with you all what they've been doing, just short little presentations. So let me introduce Seamus Moran. He is, again, one of our current PGY4 residents in the middle of studying for his core exam, which is upcoming next month. And he was going to share with you how he's benefited from these endowments. Thanks for being here, Seamus. Appreciate it.
Thank you for the introduction, Tess. I'm at the VA right now, and I'm sitting outside the hallway. It's the only place I could find Wi-Fi, so I apologize for any
Thanks for making that
noise.
happen. That's great, Seamus. Thank you.
I'd like to start off by saying that we owe a debt of gratitude to Dr. Rohrman and the other contributors of the endowment. As a resident, I've personally benefited from it. And when I become an attending, it's my intention to pay it forward to the next generation of radiologists. And the financial support that we receive really does create opportunities for residents that might not otherwise be available. This fall, I worked on an educational exhibit with some of my co-residents and some attending mentors on gastric fluoroscopy. And for this educational exhibit for RSNA, one of the key points that we tried to make was to illustrate the proper patient positioning throughout the steps of gastric fluoroscopy. And for that, we turned to the timeless manual of gastrointestinal radiology procedures that Dr. Rohrman and a few others put together. And one area that was quite helpful from the manual were the patient cartoons illustrating the different positions required to successfully complete this examination. So when I was putting together one of the first drafts of this educational exhibit, I sent it out to some of the faculty mentors to get their feedback. And Dr. Bhargava reviewed it, and he told me that he wasn't certain about the origin of these cartoons and that I might want to look into it before including them in a presentation at RSNA. So I got in touch with Marcus and Dr. Rohrman. And Dr. Rohrman, correct me if I'm wrong here, but these cartoons were adapted from a pamphlet that Dr. Rohrman received at RSNA about 50 years ago. Dr. Rohrman did a literature search and he tried to find the artist to give credit to, but no artist was ever found. Dr. Rohrman suggested that it might be time to hire an artist to recreate these positions so that we could, one, update the manual, and two, have these illustrations which could be used in teaching presentations or presentations at conferences or in publications, something that the Department of Radiology would essentially own, and it'd be another resource for us. So with the support of the Rohrman Endowment, I received funding to hire an artist to recreate these patient positioning cartoons. At first, I just did a Google search. I wasn't sure how I would go about hiring an artist, and came across a few websites with artists that specialize in medical illustrations, and some of the going rates seemed a little high to me for the simplicity that I was looking for. These illustrations were only intended to represent a basic patient positioning. I wasn't looking for anything that would go in a Uffizi museum. So I went to Upwork, which is a website that connects you with professional artists, writers, graphic designers, and you can submit a description of the work that you're interested in having completed. You can give a timeline and you can negotiate pricing with an artist. And I was fortunately connected with Kendra, who had worked on similar medical illustrations in the past. And she was able to recreate those patient positioning cartoons. And I think under a week. She was great. I received these illustrations. There was some minor modifications, but in the end, we were able to get more updated patient illustrations, which the program owns now, and we have an artist to give credit to. So with these new illustrations, we updated the manual on GI and GU radiology procedures. And these images were distributed throughout the body faculty pool so that they could also use it for presentations or posters. And in closing, I would just like to say that a little bit of funding from the Rorman Endowment can really serve as a springboard for other resident endeavors. This project that I first started, which was only supposed to be on gastric fluoroscopy, ended up as another radiographics fundamentals presentation with some of the same people, which we submitted for publication, awaiting to hear back. And then radiographics manuscript on fluoroscopic imaging of the duodenum, which we received a lot of advice and help from Dr. Rorman on. So in closing, I just want to thank all the members of the Rorman Endowment for the funding that I was provided to complete this project.
That is so great. Thank you so much, Seamus, and congratulations on all of your success with that. That's fun to see how that unfolded. And bravo to
Thank
you
you.
for presenting to us from the hallway in the VA. It's lovely to have you here despite the connection difficulties. Thank you.
Yeah, I must say it's the same thing as Tess mentioned. Congratulations, Seamus. What a great success you had. And can you tell us how much it cost you for those artwork?
200 in total.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
That's-
smart shopping. You did a good job. There can be some astronomical fees associated with medical illustration, and you were right to just say we're not looking for anything terribly fancy, but that was really well done. Congratulations, Seamus.
Thank you.
Yeah, any other questions from the group for Seamus before we introduce our next resident? Great, and you're getting some congratulation chats there, Seamus. So next, let me introduce Dr. JJ Weaver, who is one of our residents in the integrated IRDR residency. He was working with Dr. Ryan O'Malley on a procedure-oriented project that I will let you talk about. So let's see, Seamus, are you able to stop sharing? And then JJ, I don't know if you have any slides to share, but you're welcome to take over the microphone.
Sure.
I
Well, I
have a
think
video
Dr.
to share. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ryan. I wasn't sure if who's
So
presenting.
David Lerner is also here, who deserves the credit for designing
Oh, David,
this
thank
phantom.
you. Yes.
But we have a video to share of JJ and David doing a demo with the products. If you want the introduction before that, or we can just talk about it after. We can do it either way.
Oh, thanks, Ryan. I'm sorry. You guys lead the show, however
All
you
right.
want to do it.
So I'll give a quick introduction and then we'll show the video, and then I think David and JJ can expand upon it afterwards. Again, I can't take any credit other than just facilitating the submission process, but David Lerner and I are both in the same section in abdominal imaging. He has an interest in procedure-related phantoms and has experience designing his own in the past. And so his idea was to design some that could be used for the residents on various procedure-related services at UW and Harborview and our other hospitals in a way that they could practice their procedure skills before they were on service with patients. So with that, that'll be my quick introduction. I will share the video of them showing it, and then David and JJ can give some more details afterwards about how they designed it and used it. So I will attempt to share my screen and the audio, more importantly, and we'll cross our fingers. All right, if you don't hear audio in about 5 seconds, somebody yell at me and I'll fix it.
So what we wanted to
That's
do
perfect.
is show you how some of that money's been spent towards building a simulation lab for the residents so that they can train on doing procedures with imaging studies before they actually see real patients. So first of all, one of the things we have here, one of the trainers is a lumbar puncture spinal phantom that uses ballistics gel material and has fluid in a cervical spinal canal and a lumbar spinal canal that you will access using fluoroscopy with a needle, and it lets residents train with real anatomic correlation and feel. So for example, one of our esteemed co-researchers, JJ here is going to help us out.
Hello there. We'll see how we do on the first try here. Just placing the needle into the ballistic gel, then we'll step on the fluoro pedal and have a look. Looks like it's on the right track. We've moved a little bit on our fluoro machine.
Yeah.
We should have locked it. That's one lesson learned via the Phantom and Simulation Lab.
Perfect.
And we can still see the needle on
Right down the barrel.
Trajectory.
Good job. Let's take a little look at the needle right here. Very nice.
We'll continue to advance.
We'll show JJ doing his orientation.
We're still very pleased with the trajectory of the needle, and I'm getting nice tactile feedback from the ballistic gel. Like Dr. Lerner said, there's an inflated water balloon essentially that simulates the thecal sac, and I can kind of appreciate that when it punctures through it. We'll take one final look here. Seems like we are on the expected trajectory. I believe I'm in sort of the simulated thecal sac space, and it's filled with fluid, so we can even aspirate some fluid to confirm that we are in the appropriate location. And I'm getting good fluid coming back. Maybe kind of hard to tell on the video. I apologize that I have my chunky arm block in the way there, but we can inflate that or re-inject that right back in, and we would have drawn out some CSF successfully.
Voila. Oh, hey, hi there again. How's it going? Well, now that we've shown you the fluoro procedure, now we're going to show you some phantoms that we made for ultrasound guided procedures. So, once again, we have our esteemed colleague, JJ, manning the needle. If I can figure out how to flip this around.
So now I will attempt to gain vascular access, a very relevant skill for radiologists, in particular interventional radiology residents.
So what this is, before we begin, is a ballistics gel phantom that's covered up so that you can't see where the theoretical artery or vein is. It's just a block, and then you use an ultrasound unit to figure out where you're going to be going, and there's the artery or vein right in the middle of this ballistics gel. And now JJ, the man, the myth, the legend, is going to use his skills to pay the bills.
Let's see if we can get it.
And to get vascular access. So as you come down, you can see that he can see where the needle is, just like you would to access an IJ catheter or an arterial line. Coming in. There you go.
And we have water, we have fluid coming out.
You have fluid coming out. So it's proving that you've gotten in there, and there's the training. And now you can drop in your line, you can drop in your catheter, but this is training for residents to practice the tactile sense of using ultrasound to get vascular access. Say goodbye, JJ.
So long, thanks for watching and thanks for helping.
I hope you enjoyed that short video. I'll defer to Dr. Lerner for the technical details. I just wanted to echo Seamus's sentiment and, express our sincere gratitude to Dr. Rohrman and to everyone else who makes the Rohrman Endowment possible. It allows us some really amazing opportunities. And also, I sincerely hope that our poor acting skills and overall lack of screen presence doesn't deter anyone from making any future donations. Thank you.
That was great, you guys. Thank you so much. That's really cool. It's great to see in action and hugely beneficial to our residents, as you can imagine, who we don't want them to have to endure high anxiety going in to approach a patient with an ultrasound guided needle placement in advance. So having phantoms and that type of practice in advance is great.
Can I ask a question, Tess? Who makes the phantoms, Ryan?
David does. I was going to say, David, do you want to give us some information about how you came about making these, and more importantly, without blowing up your house and the various technical things you need to be aware of?
Yeah. There's a bunch of trial and error. There always throughout time, radiologists and technologists actually have created these scanning phantoms and things to practice various things. the thing is that when you make them to practice biopsies and procedures, the problem in the past has always been that it's made from organic gelatin-based products. So people used to use just really thick Jell-O back in the day. Some people use Knox gelatin. There's a special recipe that you can use to make that good. However, after about a week in the refrigerator, they all begin to rot. So it has a very limited time frame. And so the goal, kind of working with JJ and Ryan and everyone, was to create a simulation lab where you could build these phantoms and practice things that would never go bad and could always be used over and over again for years for a minimal cost. And so after a lot of research and kind of previous experience with some phantoms, there's a company that builds ballistics gel, which is essentially that the FBI uses in gun companies to evaluate bullet trajectories and impacts and things like that under high cameras. It's essentially it's built to be the exact average density of human tissue, and it was built from inorganic compounds, and so it never rots. And then you have to go about creating different molds and creating different types of procedures and approaches for the most common things that residents do. So for example, we'll just use vascular access as one, which is a relatively simple creation where you take the ballistics gel, you melt it. If you ask my wife, I now have to work in the garage because when I first did it in the house, it doesn't smell good when you warm it up. So for future reference, do it in the garage. But so you have to melt it very carefully because if you get above a certain temperature, it can spontaneously combust. So you have a very nice range though of safety. So it's all very doable.
Yeah. David, you should propose this to RSNA and hold a workshop. People could bring either that or AUR or Roentgen ray and have people come with, for instance, MSK radiologists might bring a shoulder.
Yes.
No, I'm serious. I think a lot of people in the country would bring something that they could make. You should propose this because it's ingenious. Yeah. It's great.
It's a good idea. Yeah, we actually have made we've been working on with Majid a pelvis hip injection phantom.
Yeah,
so,
I think that'd be great once you have it down to something that you can. But I would ask to hold a workshop nationally. I think it'd be great.
That's a good idea. That's a really good idea.
Also, David, this is really very innovative. You can expand this, education to students and medical students and high school kids to introduce them to radiology. But also, this is not restricted to physician. We can take APPs and all that who want to learn procedures. We can use on them as well to train APPs. But I feel with the 3D printing that is available with different materials, based on, we can even expand if this can be done under CT guidance, MR guidance, and all that.
So we have a CT phantom for certain things, to do. So residents can do CT guided drainages, so they can practice on that as well. So yeah, the goal is to create an entire simulation lab so that JJ and can help bring it to all the residents and IR trainees, so that basically there's a room or I can come in on the weekend. So the goal is that there's like 20 different procedure phantoms, the most common things. So vascular access, drain placement, biopsy, ultrasound, fluoro access, LPs, and to have it all in one area where they can come in whenever they want and train on these. And they're basically should last for at least 5 to 10 years before needing to reform them again.
David, my next advice to you means, given you have so much experience and passion, is to apply for a small seed grant. And, Rorman Endowment can be a forum, or there are other avenues to support, to build the whole simulation program. So this will be something extremely valuable and enduring resource for future training education. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, particularly for other specialties such as rheumatology fellows, for orthopedic fellows and residents, and obviously for neurology residents and young, for them to be able to work on this and to have a way of doing it before actually trying to do LPs and those sorts of things. Take it on the road. I think there are a lot of possibilities here.
Tom Richardson, do you want to use this at WSU?
I was just Googling where you find the ballistics gel. Yeah.
You can send us an email. We're happy to help with whatever you want.
Thanks,
Dr.
David.
Dr. Richardson is the medical director or the director of radiology education over at Washington State University. That's what
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
Just
for being here,
graduated
Tom.
first class.
Yeah,
so,
congratulations. That's exciting.
yeah, I'm tired.
I bet. Yeah, you need a summer off. Huge appreciation for you all constructing that video. That's great, and that's a nice example of how conferences have been going this past year. So we have not been traveling. Our residents have not been able to go to these national conferences, for instance, but many of them have recorded their conferences either in advance or presented live via Zoom or other platforms. But we also have several residents here today who just wanted to be here to say hi and offer their thanks because your donations have supported their attendance at some of these other educational meetings and conferences. So let me see, you already met Seamus and JJ. We have John Wu. John, if you want to wave and say hello.
Hi, everyone. This is John.
That's Dr. Wu.
Yeah, no, and I cannot thank enough for all the Dr. Rohrman and all the donors to the foundation. My education simply would not have been the same. Ever since my PGY2 year, I've taken advantage of this incredible resource, and even to this day, you know, I'm working on a project funded by the Rohrman Endowment on an internal hernia project where I basically get to be the PI. So thank you so much. Means the world. Really helpful.
It's kind of you to say thanks, John. And we're all so very much looking forward to that project because you're a phenomenal educator, and that is a very complicated subject. So a lot of people are going to benefit from that. So strong work there. We have Richa Patel here, who has benefited by support to attend conferences. Richa, no obligation to say anything, but if you want to say hi,
I would love to say a few words. Thank you so much. I'm incredibly privileged to be in your company. Looking around at some of the names, it's really amazing because I recognize your names from papers and prior reports in our systems. And right now, studying for boards, it's amazing to see a lot of your work cited in our study resources. You are all legends in your fields. So incredibly privileged to be here. And to have benefited from this endowment. I was able to travel to Maui last year, which was the last conference just right on the heels of COVID kicking off. And I think it was my attending that meeting that really helped me network with so many wonderful academic radiologists and has kind of solidified my decision to go into academics. So thank you for your support, both financial, by legacy, in spirit, and your ever-ending enthusiasm for resident education. We appreciate it. It's not necessary, but we really, really appreciate how much you've done. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Richa. And we're so lucky you're going into academics, by the way. It's great. Let's see, we also have Janice Yee. Janice is a current PGY4, one of our future co-chief residents. Janice, thanks for being here today. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you, everyone, for having us. We really appreciate the Rohrman Fund and everyone who's supported it for giving us the opportunities that we had. I recently got funding to attend a board review course, which is super helpful during this time. I'm also studying for boards, so like Richa. And then I also got funding last year as well to go to SAR in Maui. So that was great. And we had attended a lot of the lectures that they had there and got a chance to, meet up with other people, other residents across the nation, and really get a feel for what's going on in abdominal radiology that's new. So it was a great opportunity. Really, thank you for all your support.
Thanks, Janice. Yeah, you guys who got to go to Maui, you were literally right on the skirt of shutdown, and so you guys are so lucky. I was very.
I think Ryan was there.
Ryan was there, yeah.
Quite a few people were there, and we
Sarah
were all just
Vestara.
watching things implode slowly in Washington.
But you got home.
Yes.
You got home.
Yeah.
You got
The
to
first death
Hawaii.
happened when I was leaving that day, and I remember thinking, "Oh, I wonder what
What this is about." Yeah.
Richa, if you are in Ryan's company, you will go to good conferences. He doesn't go to any conference like in Chicago except RSNA. It has to be Hawaii.
Smart, smart. Let's see. We also have Dr. Andrew Warner here today. Thanks for being here, Andy. Are you able to say hi?
Yeah. Hey,
Great.
thanks for having me. Just want to echo my appreciation, just like everyone else has. I've had the opportunity to present my an educational exhibit at ARRS a couple weeks ago, and the endowment helped pay for my registration there, which is again much appreciated. But on top of that, it was a great area to just further spread networking fingers out into the academic world there, but also it's just a great educational conference as well, really geared towards resident education and stuff too. So it was a good time. Thanks, really appreciate it.
So glad you enjoyed it, Andrew. And Dr. Warner is another one of our IRD, our integrated residents. He's a PGY3 along with JJ. And our entire IR division is really enjoying a lot more academic involvement. Their former chief has said that their number of publications has just exploded, and it's really great. Totally different trajectory than has been there in the past, and our current residents are many of the authors who are producing these publications. So we're super excited that you're involved with that, Andrew. Thank you. And last but not least, we have Dr. Lewis. Spencer Lewis is here. He's one of our PGY3s and just recently went to AUR. Are you able to say hi, Spencer?
Hi. Yeah, so I was able to go to AUR for a leadership development program that was generously funded by the Borman Endowment. As everyone else has said, I am incredibly grateful and humbled by the opportunity that your generosity has presented to me, as well as your generosity of mentorship and education in our program. This is a particularly great program because it's this conference particularly great because it wasn't just about personal professional development or personal education, but sort of gave you sort of tools you could bring back to better your own program and better the educational experience of your program. So it's a really great opportunity, and I'm super grateful to all of you. And thank you so much for everything you do.
Thanks for being here, Spencer. Appreciate that. I'm glad that all of our residents who were able to join in today were able to turn on their microphone and say hi. It's really nice. And all of our residents, all those who weren't here and who have been funded before, continue to express their appreciation for everybody, for all the donors. Thank you, guys.
Tess, maybe I could just say one word of thanks also. It's one thing to say, gee, we need to get in touch with all our alumni. And it's another thing to actually work out the communication and to do the creative thinking that is required to create communications and have the contacts that are necessary. And I just want to say, for the past 5 years, the success of this whole undertaking has been heavily dependent on the effort and the work of Betty Landman.
Yay, Betty. So
And I
true.
think for this Lunch and Learn and for all her work over the past 5 years. Thank you, Betty.
I concur, Bill.
Yeah, Betty, you've been amazing.
And she puts her heart and soul in making this happen. And she's so invested in the success of Rorman Endowment and its offerings of Rorman Endowment. So Betty, thank you. And I also want to just take a minute and thank you all for your support to the department, your investment in our future through generous support to Rorman Endowment, which as you can see, has been applied to our trainees, and that's our future. So we will have a very strong pipeline and a great secure radiology department. So thank you very much, and I hope to have more engagement from you in not only this but other programs within the department. So thank you for always being generous and supportive of the department.
Thanks, Dushyant. We're coming up on the hour, and I was remiss in forgetting to introduce our associate PDs. You met Ryan O'Malley, one of our abdominal imagers. He's one of our associate program directors. And then Diana Lamb, I'm sure you all know her. She's one of our breast imagers. She's been an associate program director for 4 years. She started with Angelisa Paladin, our now vice chair for education. Thanks, Ange. And Diana is handing over the baton to one of our junior faculty members, Dr. Christine Raywald. She's one of our musculoskeletal radiologists with the cat. We love her pet cat who visits at some meetings. So Christine will be taking over, kind of transitioning now over these next 2 months. And so Diana is going to be devoting all of her energy to the direction of breast imaging at Northwest Hospital. She's just done fantastic work there. And then Christine is going to step into the world of GME. So you'll be seeing more of Christine in future events. Thanks for being here, Christine.
Thank you for having me. Hi, everyone. Nice to see you all.
Thanks for being here. So Betty, Chuck, any other words?
Big thanks for me. Very happy to see what the results are from our outstanding residents. So keep it up. Tess, you've got the money to spend, so support those people.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're excited about it. Thanks you guys so much for being here. It's really lovely to see you guys. Of course, we wish we could be in person and all sitting around a table having lunch together, and perhaps someday, but meanwhile, Zoom is helping us connect. It's great.
Nice seeing you, Joel. Always good to have you.
Yeah, so nice to see you. Okay, you all.
Thank everybody for coming. Thank you so much.
Everybody stay well.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.